Right, well, it's a great pleasure to have a chance to talk to Mark Smith, who I've known for 30 years or so in this College of Kings. Thanks very much for doing this interview.
Thank you.
Mark, I always ask about a person's where they're born and when they were born.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I was born in Norwich, Norfolk,
mm-hmm.
and lived there until I was 10. Born in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
Lived there until I was 10, and then we moved to Cambridge.
Right. And tell me something about as far back as you can go with your family.
Okay, we lived in a village called Barford, about 7 miles outside of Norfolk. My father was a civil servant, worked for the Ministry of Defence on RAF bases, and he worked at RAF Watton. My mother was a housewife. During a round of defence cuts in 1970, that airbase was shut down, so he was given the choice of moving to RAF Witton near Huntingdon or to the north of Scotland. So he chose to come here, which I was very glad of at the time, because the north of Scotland seemed a long, long way away. With hindsight, I'm very keen on mountains these days, and I'm now in the flattest part of the country. So anyway, we came here when I was 10.
Right. What about your grandparents? Did you know them?
Yes, my mother's mother lived in Norwich, and I used to see her quite often. I used to go and stay at her house sometimes. I just remember her husband, who died when I was about 3 or 4, I think. My father's father I never knew. He died in the 50s, but his mother, my grandmother, was alive, and she died when I was about 9. And we used to go and visit her also in Norwich. She used to run a pub in Norwich during the war, and then after the war.
Yeah. And what about your mother's side?
My father was in insurance. Other than that, I know little of what he did. I know he was in the Merchant Navy in the war, and she used to tell me tales of the terrible times that he had. He was on the Russian convoys, apparently.
So he was on the northern.
Yes, yes, and was sunk twice. I recall her telling me. So he had a hard time, as did many others. Yes, and he died when I was 3 or 4, I think. She didn't work. So she lived in Norwich until she was about 95.
Gosh. Tell me something about the character of your parents and how it might have influenced you.
Well, they're fairly average every day, I think. My father worked a lot, as well as his job as a civil servant. When we were in Norwich, he had a chicken farm. He had a house with 2 large fields, and we had a large shed with 2,500 chickens in it.
Gosh.
Which, when he came home from work on the weekends, he did that. And then that's when he had to move here. That was all sold, and then
gave up the chickens.
Gave up the chickens, indeed. Yes, yes.
And what about your mother? What was she like?
My mother was very nice. She was lovely. She died when I was 10, actually, of cancer. Or when I was 11, about a year after we came here. Yes, I remember her very fondly. Yeah.
When you were in Norwich, you were at your first school there, presumably. Your first 2 schools, maybe.
First school, yeah. Barnum Broom Primary School.
What was that like?
Okay. I remember going there and quite enjoying it and having a good time there. Yeah. It was in the next village. There was a school in the village that I went to, that I lived in, but I don't know why I didn't go there. But anyway. Yes, no, I had a good time. It was fun.
And when you were that sort of age, between the time you begin to remember memories, actually, what was your first memory?
Someone asked me that before. I can remember, and I can't have been very old, us being snowed in. We lived at the top of a long drive that was on a slope, and I remember helping my father trying to dig the snow off the slope to get the car out. And I seem to remember, whether this is how it actually was, that there was a lot of snow, and it was there was more snow than there was of me. It was higher than me, whether that was the case or not. So that must have been early mid-60s, I guess. So I would have
Well,
been,
63, 62,
well,
63.
I did wonder. There were a couple of quite bad winters.
That
then,
was a
weren't there?
terrible winter, yes. 62, 63.
Yeah, whether that's what I can actually remember, I'm
Then,
not sure.
then you'd be quite
I'd be
ill.
2 or 3,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
so I'm not sure that maybe it was a little later than that.
And do you remember whether you had any particular hobbies or interests when you were around that age? You were in the country, so did you?
Well, yeah, and was pretty much allowed to do what we wanted. There was a farm next door, and I was very friendly with the children there. There was a lad of the same age as me, Charlie, and his slightly younger sister, and we just used to roam around.
Did you collect eggs or?
No, I don't recall collecting anything specifically. We dug up a wasp nest once, which seemed a good idea at the time, but clearly wasn't. But no, we just used to play on the farm and on the surrounding fields, and do things that you probably considered extremely dangerous, like driving tractors when I was 8 or 9 and things like that.
So it was a happy childhood.
It was, yes.
And when you came to Cambridge, whereabouts did you live?
We rented a house in Cambridge for 6 months, and then we bought a house in Milton. My father bought a house in Milton.
So you're just outside Cambridge?
Yeah, about 3 miles out,
Yeah. And you went to school in Cambridge?
Yeah, I went to what was the high school for boys.
Where is that now?
It's Hills Road Sixth Form College. Now, I went there for a few years, and then I went to Impington Village College.
Right. One of those experimental colleges.
Which was a completely different regime.
Did you like it?
I didn't enjoy secondary school that much. I wasn't particularly academic.
Were you good at games?
Oh, not excessively sporty, no. I didn't particularly enjoy the high school. I didn't particularly enjoy the strict discipline that was enforced there. But then I don't suppose anybody did, and it was of its time.
This
Anyway,
was in the 70s.
yeah, yes, in the early 70s. And for various reasons I stopped going, so I then went to Impington Village College, which was a very progressive liberal regime, where seemingly you could come and go as you pleased, really, and nobody seemed to care. Which
Well, that's changed. My children went to those village colleges,
right,
Bottisham, and
yeah,
they seem to have to go every day.
right.
Did you find any of the academic or other subjects interesting?
Yeah, some of them. I mean, I guess it very much depends on the teaching, which is always the case, I guess. I did Latin for 3 years at high school, and we had a fantastic teacher whose name I cannot remember now, who was prone to screaming and violence sometimes, but he was also extremely interesting and got us to do sort of Latin plays in a contemporary style, and yeah, he was a great teacher.
Inspirational.
He was, yeah.
Didn't make you want to go on doing that in later?
Well, no. Then it was streamed, and I dropped down a set, and then it wasn't an option in the set that I was in.
Right.
So,
would you have gone on with it, do you think?
I don't know, to be honest. No.
So if it was streamed, I mean, it was streamed in that way, but not by subject. Well, you were doing O-levels, presumably.
Yeah.
What did you do them in?
Well, I left before I did them. I did them at Impington.
Right. I see. Yes.
So I was just doing the standard sort of 7 or 8 that you did then. Yeah.
English language and English literature.
Yeah, maths and history and geography, etc.
Yeah. Were you doing anything else at that time? I mean, were you developing hobbies of any kind?
Yeah. I joined the local Sea Cadet Corps when I was about 13, which had a unit on Riverside. It's not there anymore. And I was there for about 4 years till I was till I left school, really, 16 and a half. 3.5 years, yeah. And I spent a lot of time there.
Was it actually at the sea?
No, it was on the river. But they had boats.
They were boats.
And they did all sorts of things. They used to salvage boats and rebuild boats, and it was a sort of vaguely naval-themed cadet force. So you wore a naval uniform, but they did all sorts of other stuff, expeditions to the Peak District, and you got to go on courses at naval bases during the holidays as well.
So it might have led naturally into the Navy.
It did actually.
It did.
Yes. Which seemed like a good idea at the time, but I didn't particularly enjoy it. It wasn't for me.
Well, we'll come to that in a moment.
Yeah.
This may seem a funny question, but around, certainly in my case and a number of the people I've talked to, around 13, 14, 15, 16, you start asking about the meaning of life.
Mm-hmm.
And in a number of families, you're confirmed into the Church of England. So it's the time of maximum encounter with religion, particularly if your parents are vaguely religious. Did you go through this phase at all?
No. My parents weren't religious. Well, I don't think they were non-believers, but they didn't go to church. I went to Sunday school briefly. I have a vague memory of going when I was 7 or 8, but not for long. I can't really remember why that was, but no, there was at home, there was no religion at all. And we were very much left to make our own minds up about these things.
And what mind have you grown into since then? I mean, are you religious now? Or
No, not at all.
are you an agnostic, atheist?
I'm not sure I'm an atheist, but
You don't know there is a God?
I don't know whether there is or isn't, but I don't think there is really. But,
Yeah, doesn't matter too much.
it doesn't matter to me at all, no.
No, because particularly being in King's College, with its famous religious tradition and chapel and so on, if you had had that instinct, you might have been going to the odd service and so on, but you don't do that.
No. I go to
Carol service.
funerals and weddings and things like that, but that's all, yeah.
What about other extra, I mean, you said you weren't really sporty. What about music? Has that ever meant anything much to you?
Yes, I've always enjoyed music, contemporary music really, and I don't play anything. I've got no musical talents myself, but I enjoy going to see music and have done since I was 14 or so, and still do.
When you say contemporary, what do you mean?
Popular music.
Popular music?
Yeah.
Pop or jazz or?
All sorts really. Not wildly excited about jazz, but popular rock, electronic, various different sorts of music. I've got quite broad tastes.
Who have been your favourite artists or groups through time?
I love Nick Cave, the Australian singer, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, who I've seen lots of times. I also very much like Patti Smith.
That's a coincidence.
Yes, indeed. Who I've seen lots of times as well. And
And just for the viewers, we're hoping that Patty will be shortly joining us in King's next year. And so you go to the Junction, do you?
Yes, the Junction, or there's a couple of pubs in Cambridge that have live music, or further afield to London.
So you go to the concerts in London?
Yeah.
Right. And what about another thing that people sometimes do at school, or a little bit later they get involved a bit in politics? Has that ever interested you?
It does interest me, yeah.
But have you ever been involved in any political activity? This isn't a question about your Communist Party affiliation, by the way.
Fellow travellers. I'm not. No, I've not been involved in anything, any party political things. I have been on a few demonstrations here and there.
What about?
Anti-Nazi League demonstrations in the 70s, and similar events here more recently. Yeah.
But you didn't join the Labour Party or the
No.
Conservative Party?
No.
So it sounds as if you're middle left.
I think so. my sympathies lie more with the Labour Party. Well, absolutely, they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, along with a lot of people, I don't have much faith in
The leader.
many of the. Well, I don't know about him. Many of our elected politicians are disappointing these days.
So you came to the end of Impington Village College. You'll be about 16. What did you do then?
I joined the Navy.
You can do it at 16 as well.
It could then. I don't think you can now. So I was in for 6 months. And you go to Plymouth to do your basic training, which I'd been to several times before with the Sea Cadets, so I sort of knew what it was like. But I didn't really enjoy it. We seemed to spend an awful lot of time doing nothing, or doing what seemed like pointless things, even though I'd spent sort of several years before that partly doing some of that.
Just filling up your time.
Yes, and then after I was, for some strange reason, I decided that I was going to go on submarines, so it seemed like a good idea at the time. I think that you got paid more, you could grow your hair long. So I went to Portsmouth for 2 months and did absolutely nothing there, just waiting for things to happen. So there came a point, because I was under 18, there was a thing called pre-voluntary release, that if you joined at 16 you could leave any time in your first 6 months. And so on the last day of my 6 months I applied for that. It was either that or stay for another 3 years, which I decided I didn't want to do.
Interesting.
And lots of people shouting at me all the time. As I'd got a bit older, I'd found that rather tiresome, really. And this general dislike of overly disciplined things.
So you were without money and without a job. What did you do then?
At the encouragement of my father, I went to CCAT, as it was then, Cambridge College of Arts and Technology, and I did a catering course. But I didn't particularly enjoy that. I mean, all my friends were working and had money, and I didn't. So I got a job after college at St Catherine's.
Oh, right.
So,
and you were about 17 then, was you?
So I was probably just over 18 then.
What was your job at St Cat's?
Just sort of waiter. Yeah.
How was that?
It was okay. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I mean, you know, I was then living in rented houses, various places with groups of friends. We were having a great time. Yeah. Yeah, and I quite enjoyed that sort of, you know, the college atmosphere. And
How long were you at St Cat's?
So I was there for about 3 or 4 years.
Quite a long time.
Yeah.
Who was the master then?
Swinnerton Dyer, yes indeed.
Yeah, I have interviewed him.
Right.
It's a small but pleasant college as far as I can see.
Yes, yes.
Next door.
Yeah.
It nearly joined King's at one point.
Right.
There was a big plan to unite the two, and then just at the last minute St Cat's pulled out of it, so we might have been a united college.
Oh,
so they didn't. Well, we had nowhere for people, for students and so on, so they wanted to take over a bit of St Cat's. So you stayed there till you were about 22.
Yeah.
And then what did you do?
I came here.
You came here.
Yes.
What year was this?
1982. April 1982.
You remember it well.
I do.
So that must have been, was it still Edmund Leach or?
Just, I think.
And then Bernard Williams.
Yes.
Yeah. And what was the feeling of can you remember the feeling of the difference between St Cat's and King's at that time?
I think there was and still is a different atmosphere to King's. It has it's still a Cambridge college with all that entails, but it's always had a sort of more easygoing, liberal feel to it. I don't really know how to articulate that, but it feels slightly different to me.
You don't know why that is? Have you got any theories as to why it should be like that?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the people it attracts, and it used to have this slightly radical I'm not sure it has that anymore, but maybe that's encourages the sort of people that encourage that atmosphere.
I mean, it was one of the first 2 or 3 colleges to have women coming to college.
Yeah.
And did St Cat's have women at that time when you were there?
Yes, it did. Not many, but it did, yeah. But yeah, and I'm sure that is part of the different feel of the college as well, yeah.
But before, a lot of old Etonians, as you know,
Quite.
used to come here. And what was the job that you had when you came?
Assistant butler was the job I had.
Do we still have an assistant butler?
We don't know. No, it was the whole department, and my job was rearranged in about 2000.
So how long were you an assistant butler?
Until George Brownstone retired, so 4 or 5 years maybe.
You overlapped for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think it was about 4 years. I can't remember exactly when he went, but yeah.
And can you outline, because I and others are interested in the structure of a college like this, what is the butler's role? Perhaps you can talk about the butler rather than assistant butler, but
yeah.
What do you have to do?
Well, the butler's role then was quite different to how it is now.
Okay, well tell us what it was then.
So then, the butler looked after the fellows' catering needs, so lunch service and dinner service was done by him and his assistants. Everything that happened in the SCR and the wine room, all the college meetings, that was all dealt with by the butler and his assistants, and also the management of the wine cellar.
So you were basically a catering manager, in a sense, is that right? Or was there a catering manager?
No, not really, no. I mean, it's always been a slightly separate department from the catering manager. So there was a catering manager then, Michael Roberts.
Yeah.
And they looked after all the cafeteria and the conference food service, whereas the butler's department looked after the high table service and the service of lunch in the SCR. And
so it's really the servicing of it.
yes.
The actual cooking and so on was done separately.
Yeah.
Which bit has been changed?
So what I do now, I don't really do very much butlering as such. Since then, the wine cellar has expanded enormously, and the sales of wine have expanded a lot as well. So 80, probably 90% of my time is spent looking after the wine cellar and wine sales. And I still do. The only thing that I do from that period is look after the wine nights on Tuesday and Thursday during term, and service of wine on college dinners. So all the other service, the lunch service and the high table service, is now done by the catering department, and there are no assistant butlers. So it seemed odd that there was these 2 separate departments really. So it made sense to amalgamate them into one. And when the current wine steward took over in 93, 94, he was keen to expand the wine cellar and the senior wine again. So
Well, that was what I was going to ask. When did this big expansion occur, and under who?
So it started.
Be very careful with the table.
Oh, sorry. It started in. He took over in 1994.
Who was this?
Professor de Boller took over as wine steward from Ken Moody.
Yeah. So that's when it expanded greatly.
So it started to then, and then there were moves to change the department around in the years after then, but there was some resistance from the catering side, and then a new bursar came in the late 90s, 2000, who was more he was happy for us to change things. So that was when it was
Michael Cowley or no?
No, Roger Salmon.
Ah, yes.
So that was around 2000.
Yeah.
So that sort of gave the impetus to redesign the department and how it was staffed and what I did. So that's when it changed a lot, around about 2000.
And was this a physical expansion? In other words, the cellars were made larger, or
They weren't made larger. There was just a lot more in them, and the amount of wine that was sold has increased dramatically as well.
this is presumably sold to fellows of the college and so on,
And to alumni as well,
alumni.
mostly to alumni.
Is it?
Yeah.
So this makes a profit for the college.
Yes.
So you do go on buying expeditions to
Not really, no. Mostly the wine importers come here because they do so much business in Cambridge. So there are lots of tastings here. So coming up in the autumn, there'll be tastings nearly every day
Really?
of the week at some colleges. I don't go to them all, and some I'm not always going to, but for about a month there's a tasting nearly every day somewhere, and in the spring as well. And I've been on a couple of trips with importers in the past. That's not a regular occurrence, unfortunately.
There are presumably a few that are well known to the college and supply very good wine, and you have a special relationship.
Indeed. Excuse me. Indeed, yeah. The wine business is such that you have to sort of build relationships with importers to get the sort of things that you might want to get, because they're in limited supply. So it's not often a case of just going and saying, I want 5 cases of that. You have to. There might only be 10 cases in the entire country, so you have to have a relationship with people, which builds up over the years.
Yeah. And does most of our wine come from a particular country or region?
Well, most of it probably comes from France, because it's still the biggest and best country in the world. But it's the range has expanded greatly since Pete de Poller took over. So there's wine from all over the world now. It's not.
Are you getting wine from China now?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I imagine that might happen at some stage. There's lots happening there, isn't there?
Yes, there's lots happening.
And lots of big French companies investing there. And
exactly. Cabernet Sauvignon vines are going there, all sorts.
Yeah.
I've drunk good wine in China. Let's now turn to how the kings have changed since 1982 or whatever. What have you seen as the main changes over the time you've been here? Apart from becoming less radical.
Yeah, well, I think that's partly
The times are changing.
the times have changed, haven't they? And people have got too much else to worry about these days. I don't think things have changed dramatically. The sort of the people that make up Kings has changed a bit more. There are more women, and it's a much more diverse community than it used to be, which is a good thing. But it still has that, and perhaps even more so, that quite sort of liberal, easygoing feel to it. Perhaps more so now. Doesn't seem as traditional as it was.
Less ties.
Yes, perhaps so. Yes. Yeah.
Do you have much contact with the students?
Not a huge amount, no. I mean, they come and buy wine from me when they have a formal. So I get to know a few of them, but not really, no, not a great deal of contact.
Or the Students' Union doesn't have any special ties to the cellar or anything?
No, we do a sort of tasting for the freshers when they come, that the Student Union organise. But no, we don't have any other sort of ties with them, really. But there's a few that that I still sell wine to that I knew when they were students here 30 years ago. So
alumni.
Yeah, alumni that I remember me from when they were here. So
when you say there's quite a lot of sale to alumni, do they come up for wine tastings, or do you just inform them of what's around?
Yes, we send out lists. So we send out lists by email. I've got a database of about 650 people.
Gosh.
So we send them lists, and we have a big sale at Christmas and a big one in the summer, and then they buy lots of wine from that. So,
what's the advantage for them to be buying from us? I mean, they can guarantee the quality, or
yes, obviously we have to be competitive because
sorry, of your foot.
anyone can find out the value of something these days. So we have to offer them things that they couldn't get elsewhere, or at a cheaper price. And because of those relationships that we've built up with wine merchants, we can do that. So, and we don't. The other advantage here is we don't have the capital cost of storage. So we can offer wines that have been in the cellar for 10 or 15, maybe 20 years at extremely good prices.
Is it a good cellar? I mean, in terms of storage?
Yes, it's near perfect, really.
Really? Are there rumours that it stretches right across the road, King's Parade, half true, or does it stretch a long way?
But they're untrue, I'm afraid.
Sorry?
They're untrue, I'm afraid. It's underneath the floor space of the hall.
Oh, right.
So it's all that floor space underneath there. But I've never discovered any secret passages that burrow under Cambridge or the chapel now.
Oh well, maybe. What's your own taste in wine? Do you particularly like any kinds of wine?
Yes, I like lots of wine. It's one of the great things of working here is I get the opportunity to taste lots of wines that I perhaps wouldn't do otherwise. And sometimes some very grand things that I certainly couldn't afford to buy myself. So yes, I like lots of wines.
French wines?
Yes, but Italian wines and Spanish wines.
Red,
and
white?
Australian. I'd perhaps edge towards red rather than white, but I drink both, yeah.
I forgot to ask if you were married or not.
I am, yes. I've been married for 30 years, nearly.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Have children? Or?
I have 2 children, yes. Yes, a son and a daughter.
Where are they?
Son is, coincidentally, not with any huge encouragement from me, working as a sommelier in a restaurant.
In Cambridge?
In Cambridge, yeah. So he's doing that. He's been doing that for 3 or 4 years. He's also a drummer in a band.
Oh, well, 2 of your interests overlap.
Indeed. Ideally, I think he'd like to be a full-time drummer in a band, but it's not as simple as that. You have to. So he doesn't live at home. He lives with his girlfriend, and I have a daughter at university in Norwich.
Really? Doing what?
She's doing international development and anthropology.
Oh, well, overlap. I know people who teach that. Coming back to the people of Kings, if you had to single out, I mean, it's obviously depending on people who've either interested in wine or you've become friends with. I mean, could you single out a few characters who you've got to know in the fellowship and tell me something about them?
Yes, Keith Hopkins was a lovely man, I thought.
I shared a room with him. He had the next room, of course.
Yeah.
I knew him when I was a student, yes.
Yeah, I used to enjoy working and having a glass of wine with him, yes.
He was Vice Provost.
When he was Vice Provost, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was on the wine committee and yeah.
He's a very easygoing person.
He was a very easygoing person, yeah.
I'm glad you liked him. Do you ever see his widow?
I do occasionally, yes. He had some wine in the cellar which is still there, and she comes back 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, she comes to the summer supper party.
Yes. And she was here about 3 weeks ago, actually, just to
right.
pick up a few things, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you liked Keith. He used to lie on the floor in this outside room and stare at the ceiling. I had to tread over him. And 1 or 2 others. Who else did you?
Tony Tanner.
Oh, right, yes.
Who?
Fellow in English.
Yes. Who I remember always being. Yes, he was always a very nice man, very easy to talk to. Yes. He was a nice man. I liked him, and we were so sorry when he died.
Yes, it was tragic.
It was, yes.
Others?
I very much enjoy working with Pete DePolla.
He knows. Did he know a lot about wine before he started this job? Or did he?
Yes.
He did.
Yes.
And he's still a wine steward, is he?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So we're very lucky to have such a person.
I think so. I mean, he puts an enormous amount of work into it, which perhaps isn't obvious to everybody sometimes. But you say, I'm going to yet another wine tasting. People think great, but it's not always as fun as it sounds. It's hard work. Does he go
to most of them?
Yeah, he goes to a lot. He goes to a lot more than I do, and he goes to big ones in London, and when new vintage is being shown. So, but yes, I enjoy working with him. I think we work quite well together. And, yeah,
it's lucky. Since you've been
yes, quite
working together for so long.
Yeah.
Any other provosts you've particularly got on with, or not got on with?
Pat Bateson and Dusha.
He's a nice man.
Who were a lovely couple. And Professor Williams, also a very nice man, yeah.
And Patricia.
Yeah. And our current provost is...
he's extremely good and
yes,
pleasant and easy. Yes, we're very lucky to have him. Tell me, we've talked positively about the college, but obviously there are negative things about a place like this over time. What has occasionally irritated or annoyed or upset you about this place?
I'm not sure much has, to be honest. I'm not somebody that lets things irritate me very much. I could just walk past it or ignore it, really.
Have people been rude? And
occasionally.
Maybe when they've had some drink.
Possibly, yeah. But I don't really let these things bother me very much. I mean, I think it would be difficult to... you have to accept that it is a Cambridge college and all the traditions and things that go with that. And there are certain people that perhaps see that as an excuse to act in a way that they might not act elsewhere.
They stand on their dignity.
And if that really bothered me, then I wouldn't have been here for so long, to be honest. So, yeah.
And what do you think, if you were advising others who were thinking of coming one day and taking your job, what are the qualities you think that a good butler like yourself needs?
In as much as working in any sort of industry where you're dealing with the public, you have to be patient, you have to be tactful sometimes. Yeah.
Do you have to have a good memory for people's...
Yes, that helps, certainly what I do now.
Faces, names and
yes.
characters.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Rather like a...
Yes, and I think, yes, when people come back after some time being away, if they come back to our table dinner or something, I think it's appreciated if you remember who they are.
Yes, hugely, I should think.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think we're just getting towards the end, but there are many other things possibly you might have liked me to ask you, but is there anything particular that I've missed out about your life that you'd like to lay down?
I don't think so.
Lay down is a wine metaphor.
Very good.
Lay down for future generation.
I can't think of anything that we've particularly missed, no.
Good. Well, thank you very much indeed, Mark, and it's always been a pleasure to come in and see your friendly face there. And,
thank you.
Thank you very much for all you've done for the college.
Thank you.